right, it is time for my weekend film. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. This is going to be me sharing some thoughts on the films that I've seen in the previous week, and there's 3 films that I would like to talk about. I just am really looking forward to doing more film-related content here on the channel, and I did recently do the last 5 films that I had seen for a series of 5 videos. So there was 25 films that I had seen recently but hadn't talked about, so feel free to check those out if you haven't seen them already. It was a lot of fun. I put all of the titles on a spinner and then just spun the wheel and randomly talked about, and that would be the random selection of what I would talk about. So I thought, instead of letting things get to 25 films behind, let's talk about stuff more frequently. And and so I thought this would be a fun way to do it. So there are 3 films I've seen in the past week that I want to talk about, and this is the first one. The first one is Sleuth. So this is from 2007. It stars Michael Caine and Jude Law and was directed by Kenneth Branagh. I decided to see this because I read The Elephant to Hollywood, which is an autobiography by Michael Caine. It was one of the oldest books on my Goodreads TBR, and I finally read it this summer, so I'm really happy. Feel very accomplished with myself for doing that. It actually took me a lot of the summer to read it. It was really a wonderful read. He is just a lovely man. But I actually didn't know that there was a new version of Sleuth. I had previously seen the 1972 version of Sleuth with Michael Caine and Sir Laurence Olivier, and I watched that over 10 years ago for a film challenge that I was doing at that time, and really enjoyed it, although I don't remember it too well, which actually works in its favor, like in the favor of, coming to a movie or coming to a story yet again. This is actually based on a play, and one of the really cool things about it is it's a two-hander with an older character and a younger character, and in the 1972 version, Michael Caine plays the younger character, whereas in the 2007 version, he plays the older character. And I think that's also just like a really wonderful experience for an actor to be able to play both sides of the story years and years apart and with different actors. So that was really cool. It was really cool to read in the book him talking about working with Laurence Olivier, who's just such a formidable actor. And so that's why I watched it. I watched it on Hoopla, which had its own challenge, which I'll get to if there's time. It was really great. It is a two-hander, as I mentioned, so it's basically just the two of them. It's a lot of dialogue, and it is really quite intense. If I had to give it a genre, I would probably have to say it's a thriller, a mystery. Is it a mystery? I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure if I would consider it a drama versus a thriller, because I think of a thriller in terms of tone, but a drama in terms of the fact that it's very much about people. So that's an interesting question. If you have seen Sleuth, let me know. Would you consider it a drama or a thriller? This was a joy to watch. It was very tense. And I think the tension really pushes, and at some points I was feeling uncomfortable. I think the only reason why I didn't feel super uncomfortable is because I had seen the previous version, and if there was anything I really, really thought was way too far, then I probably would have remembered, but I don't know how much different this one is from that one, to be honest. But this was great. The performances by both Jude Law and Michael Caine are just top-notch, and you really need that to be the case for this one because it's just them. And so you really have this sense of the chemistry needs to be there, the variety of emotions and the questioning of intentions, and all of that needs to be present, and it really is present. So it really was amazing from that perspective. I definitely feel like this is a film that would appeal to people who really enjoy performances and or people that are actors, because of the fact that it's just the two of them kind of idea. And then also the writing is excellent. So I think it would also appeal to writers as well because of how the story is unveiled throughout time. And so it was excellent from that. Personally, from a personal standpoint, I actually just loved how sleek it looked in terms of a lot of things. I love that the predominant color, you can probably tell from the poster, the predominant color of the film is blue. I have this thing that I really enjoy movies that are mostly blue, whether it's movies like in water, like The Abyss, or The Big Blue by Luc Besson, or The Thing even. I feel like The Thing has a lot of blue in it, even though there's a lot of white in it. Films often set in space have a lot of blue with them. Of course, Blue with Juliette Binoche. Like, there's just some movies that just have a lot. It's just like a weird, not even a subgenre. It's not a trope. It's just something I tend to really, really enjoy and resonate with. And I just really, I was just like, it just, had me on edge, and I was curious as to what was going to happen next, and curious as to where the story was going to go. But I will say that sometimes this kind of story, this sort of like pushing, especially pushing a person, doesn't always work with me. There are definitely films that have that take that I have seen and not interested in watching again, and not interested in watching more of. I don't know if it's just the people that were involved in this, especially Kenneth Branagh as the director. I've been watching films directed by him for years and years and years, and with the exception of the Artemis Fowl film, I have loved everything. So I think maybe the Hamlet. Did he do the Hamlet? He was in the 4-hour one. That one was... But like everything else from Dead Again to I'm now floundering on films that he's directed. I think he did Thor. So for a variety of genres, but I just, and as an actor, I just think he's got it. So, so I really enjoyed this for the performances, for the styling, for being curious as to where it was going to go next. And I don't think it was terribly long. Oh, it doesn't say here. I did watch it on Hoopla. It wasn't terribly long, but I did run into a time issue because I had borrowed it, but I hadn't watched it yet. So I knew that it was going to run out. I knew it was going to expire on Hoopla, and so I threw everything to the side. I put the kettle on and I started watching it. I even had my tea. I didn't even wait for my tea to steep. I just had it bag in, just brought a bowl so I could throw the bag in, which I never do. And I got to 7 minutes left at the end of the movie, and Hoopla's like, it just scene, and I'm like, that's not the end of the movie. So I had to use another borrow to watch the remainder of it. I don't think everyone gets movies through Hoopla here in Canada, or at least in Toronto. In connection with the Toronto Public Library, we get access to movies, music, graphic novels, and some manga, as well as TV, so movies and TV, but no audiobooks. So I think it's different regionally, but I do like to check there for movies, because they do have some different movies, and you can, of course, rent them, and that is what I did. And this one cost 2 rentals. Was it worth it? Yes. Was it worth 2 rentals? Absolutely, without question. So I really enjoyed that. Next up, I watched a totally different tone. I watched The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. This also has a book to film tie-in, also quite as light, to be honest. I was inspired to watch this because, this is from 1953. I don't remember any of the actors in it. Paul Christian, Paula Raymond, Cecil Kellaway, Kenneth Tobey, and Jack Pennack. Suggested by the sensational Saturday Evening Post story by Ray Bradbury. So that is the reason I watched it, was because I had read The Foghorn, which is what it's suggested by the sensational Saturday Evening Post story. And I was also excited to see it because Ray Harryhausen did the creature effects. But there is very little tie-in. There's very little connection between the story, The Foghorn, and the movie, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which I am disappointed on. I'm not going to lie. That was a disappointment. Because there is like one scene in the film that felt like the sentiments, or the one scene from the story, but I felt like the story was saying something in particular, and this was not saying the same thing. This is a monster movie. Something happens, and then there's a beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and then like lots of the monster movie things happen. It was not very connected. So, but I could pick up on that pretty quickly, so I let that go. And when I thought of it as a Saturday afternoon fun monster movie, I was okay with that, but it took me a while to get there. It took me a while to get here. I did definitely enjoy a lot of the effects, whether it was the creature or destruction type things, the sounds of the creature, all of that put all together was so much fun and is some of the things that I really enjoy from monster movies. I was surprised that a lot of the other parts of it were quite serious, not super, super serious, but, you know, it did really read more like a drama with the other situations, and it was surprising also to see a little bit that one of the things that they had in this movie is not a lot of people believed that the creature existed, which is completely something that happens in disaster movies all the time. But I guess because of the seriousness of the tone of this, I was surprised at the direction where that led. So, but, you know, generally speaking, as a monster movie, Saturday afternoon, and with the creature effects, all of that put together, I ended up really enjoying it from that. This one I actually rented off of Google Play because it wasn't available on any of the services that I have access to. No, I guess that's not super surprising. And given that it's from the 50s, it's from 53. And yeah, but I really enjoyed watching it. I don't think it's not part of the public domain. A lot of those sort of monster movies I watch from this sort of time period are, but this one is not. Next up, going even earlier, we're going back in time and back in time and back in time, and this one has another book to film adaptation connection as well. I imagine this one is more strong, but I didn't read the book, so I can't speak to that. So we have A Farewell to Arms. So this is from 1932, starring Gary Cooper, Helen Hayes, and Adolphe Menjou. I forgot about him. I don't know him. I know now. I remember that character a bit more. So this is based on the Ernest Hemingway book, and I haven't read the book. I decided to watch this because it won the Oscar for Sound and Cinematography, which are two of the film goals that I'm working on this year. And I hummed and hawed a little bit on whether or not to watch it before reading the book. I guess I really was coming up with the fact that I knew I didn't have enough time in the rest of the year to read the book. So if I was going to get that film goal done, I needed to just jump in and watch it. And truth be told, I should have not done that because I don't like doing that. I always like reading the book first. And I ended up not very much enjoying the movie. So now I feel like the likelihood of me going back and reading the book is pretty low. And it's on one of my book lists. So I feel like I'm just kicking myself over and over again with this one. So what's this one about? This one is set during World War I, and it features a man who is serving in the war who falls for a woman who is a nurse. It's mostly based in Italy, and although neither of them are Italian, he's American and she's English. I couldn't tell. I could tell by the dialogue that she was an American, but I couldn't tell from her accent where she was from. So she's English, he's American. This one wasn't a good fit for me, like not even just the book to film reason, but like the gender dynamics and the sexism is very, very prominent in this one. The double standard towards, you know, just the fact that, you know, the men are presented as, you know, they want the company of women all the time, but if any of the women are in the company of men, no, no, no. And it's just the double standard is so clear that it made it uncomfortable to watch. Now, it wasn't, I don't think, supporting the double standard. I think there's actually an argument for the fact that it's not, although that gets into like gray area a little bit. I don't know. I would have to think about it pretty critically and analytically, and I didn't enjoy it enough to analyze it. So yeah, that was really present. There also, I would say with this one, I know it's from 1932, so I know that that's, you know, 70, like it's like 89 years ago. But there definitely was consent issues in this, in my opinion, and not even really in my opinion. I feel like it was pretty clear. So that was, you know, but it kind of felt like, it's like, that's how it was. Like, are you reaffirming that that's how it was? Are you calling to question that that's how it was? Is it, or perhaps just no, you know, let's just not go there in terms of consent. Like, so like, you know, and I just also, I think in the timing, I guess, especially what's going on in the States right now, like the double standard and how women are treated differently is, I just was like not impressed. I also had an issue watching this one as well. I watched this one on Canopy, which is like Hoopla, but exclusively for like movies, TV, and educational programming. So check if your library has access to Canopy. It's a great service. But for some reason, when I first started watching this, after 20 minutes or so, it wasn't, it just like, it said the servers were something. Now, my internet has been a little in and out these days, so it might have been on my end, but I think I was able to watch something else. So watching something in 2 sessions is not great. This was not that long, though. I think it was only 90 minutes, so I watched it. I followed it up the other day, and I was resisting because I could tell that I was not loving it. So it wasn't a huge win for me. I do regret the fact that I watched it without reading the book. I do still plan on reading For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway, and I actually loved The Old Man and the Sea. So this one is one of those ones where I don't know if it's just like they were presenting sort of like how things happened at the time, but I just feel like that double standard is just something that I don't have time for. Like, I just feel like it's horrible, and I'm not saying it isn't present then, and I'm not saying we don't deal with it now, but I just wasn't expecting that. I guess because it does read, I thought it was going to be more of a war drama, and it was, but the relationship was very much at the forefront of, and the driving force of the story, which is not what I was expecting at all. So it was a bit of, you know, there was a couple of misses in terms of what I thought it was going to be like, not reading the book. You know, so in some ways I'm like, I feel like I just should have known better and just done things the way I normally do, but I wanted to get some of my film goals achieved, and, you know, I did. Was that worth it? Not quite. Anyway, I did really, you know, in contrast, I did really enjoy The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. That was so much fun. And of course, Sleuth was excellent. So I did, out of the 3, 2 of those were great. You know, that happens. I think it also happens with volume. It happens with reading books as well. You don't end up necessarily enjoying everything. I shouldn't have put that one last, but it was the most recent watch. But oh well, what can you do? So let me know your thoughts. Have you seen any of these films? Do you always read the book first? Do you ever feel frustrated when the book is not that closely linked to the movie? Because I gotta tell you, The Foghorn really is a lovely story, so I was sad that, but I should have known, because it was a monster movie and that's not really what the story was about. Anyway, lots of learning, intentional and unintentional, and yeah, so let me know your thoughts if you've seen any of those movies, and I will be back soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.